Let's be honest. Dividing a home during a divorce is one of the toughest parts of the whole process. I mean, it's both financially and emotionally draining. So today, we're going to break down the official guide to property appraisals right here in Tallahassee, just to make this whole step feel a lot more clear and, manageable for you. So this is really the question at the heart of it all, right? You're dividing what is probably your biggest shared asset, and emotions can run incredibly high. The goal here is to get from all that uncertainty to a number that both sides can look at and agree is fair and, just as important, legally sound. So how in the world do you get there? Well, this is the critical distinction you absolutely have to understand. Over on the left, you've got those quick online estimates. And yeah, they're tempting, they're fast, but they are essentially just digital guesses. A court won't even look at them. What you actually need is over on the right, a formal court-ready valuation. This is a defensible, professional opinion that's designed specifically for this legal process.
Okay, let's dive into this because this brings us to the official solution, the divorce property appraisal. This is the exact tool designed to get that court-ready value we were just talking about. It's what cuts through all the noise and gives you a solid factual foundation for your settlement negotiations.
Let's break down what these key terms actually mean for you. Unbiased means the appraiser works for the facts, not for you, not for your spouse. As of a specific date is also so crucial. A lot of times, the court needs to know the value on the date of separation, not what it's worth today. And USPAP, that stands for Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice. Just think of it as the professional rulebook that ensures the report is reliable enough to hold up in court.
That final number, it doesn't just come out of thin air. As you can see, the appraiser does a really deep dive. We're talking a physical property inspection, a detailed analysis of recent comparable sales, and careful adjustments for any differences, like maybe you have a new kitchen or an older roof. They can even provide a retrospective value for a past date, which is often required. The whole thing is designed to be a completely transparent document.
So, knowing what an appraisal is, that's half the battle. The other half is finding the right person for the job. And believe me, in a divorce case, not just any appraiser will do. You really need someone with a very specific set of skills and experience. Think of this as your personal checklist for finding the right professional. You're not just looking for a standard mortgage appraiser. You need to be asking, do you have experience with divorce litigation? Are you qualified to stand up and testify as an expert witness if it comes to that? And can you produce a report that's clear enough for a judge to understand, no problem? This is all about finding a true legal professional. So, what does the right firm look like? Well, the source guide we're using for this explainer uses a phrase just like this to highlight the ideal qualities: a straightforward, locally focused option. That's exactly what you're after, a firm that gets the Tallahassee market inside and out and specializes in clear, defensible valuations for legal stuff just like this. And just to give you a concrete example, the source material this explainer is based on actually points to Eagle Home Appraisal in Tallahassee as a firm that meets these criteria. Sometimes just having a real name to research can be a really helpful starting point as you start looking at your options. Okay, let's move on and see how this builds. So, you've found an appraiser you trust. What does the actual process look like? Honestly, it's not as complicated as you might think. The guide breaks it down into a simple 4-step roadmap. Here are the 4 steps, laid out nice and clear. First, you contact the appraiser and you're upfront that it's for a divorce. Step 2, you confirm all the details, especially that effective date we talked about. Third, you schedule the property inspection. And finally, step 4, you review the completed report with your attorney before you use it in any negotiations. See? It's a clear, manageable path forward. We've covered the what, the who, and the how. But let's end by focusing on the most important part of all, the why. Why is going through this formal process so incredibly critical for your future?
So, the crucial point is, at the end of the day, a professional appraisal does one simple, really powerful thing. It replaces arguments with facts. As this slide says, it creates a neutral foundation that both of you can build on. This isn't about winning or losing. It's about getting an objective number that allows you to negotiate a fair settlement and finally move on.
Getting a proper appraisal is really about taking back control. It's a choice to prioritize clarity over conflict and facts over feelings. It really is the first, most crucial step toward building a clear and fair path to your next chapter.